They kept something from the world for 17 years. A scandal or an affair is not what it seems. What it seems is much scarier. It began in her throat, which is very important for singers because they can't lose it. You can now show me, okay? That's what happens, and it's really hard for me. It's tough to watch. She said she was tired. That was her fault. Too much work. She smiled, performed, and lied to herself over and over again. I dream about you every night, I get it. Then, in 2022, the truth came out. A lot of people had never heard of its name. At age 58, she is now making a choice that has shocked even her closest friends and family. It comes with a bigger risk than anyone knows. The day everyone saw her break, there was no stage, no crowd, and no show in June 2024. While Celine Dion was lying on a massage table in a private therapy room, her body went into spasms all of a sudden. It began in her foot and moved up her leg, torso, arms, and face until her whole body was shaking. She was awake the whole time and crying and screaming in pain as her medical team rushed to help her. They gave her diazepam nasal spray, which is a drug used in very serious situations like cluster seizures. The whole thing went on for a few minutes while the camera kept rolling. Because she was awake during the whole thing, it was very hard to watch. She knew what was going on but couldn't do anything about it. That's what makes the scene so tough to watch. She feels it all the time. She knows what's going on. She can't do anything about it. She also says something that hurts even more than the seizure itself after it's over. She says that these things make her look bad. You'll remember that word. The woman in question has played music for kings, queens, presidents, and arenas full of strangers. She has been in the middle of some of the world's biggest stages, but the sickness in her makes her feel bad, like her body is turned against the life she worked so hard to build. Irene Taylor, the director, later said that watching that scene on film was one of the hardest things she had ever done. She was almost ready to give up. She thought she should stop sometimes. Celine had already made it clear what she wanted though. Carry on filming. Choose later what should be in the final cut. The story then goes in a very different direction. After only a few months, that same woman stood on the Eiffel Tower in Paris. The rain was coming down, all eyes were on them. She was smart, beautiful, and strong, and she sang in a white dress. The body was the same. It was the same sickness. But in some way, the moment was very different. Here's where the real question starts. It looks like Celine Dion is about to make a big comeback. Her shows are already sold out, and people can't wait to see her again. A lot of people really want to believe they are seeing one of the best comebacks in modern music. But what are they really watching? Is it victory? Or is it chance that looks like hope? Before the fall, she was queen of the world. To understand what she is fighting for now, you need to know what she built in the past. Because Celine Dion didn't just become well known. She had one of the most amazing careers in music history. She was born in Charlemagne, Quebec on March 30, 1968. She was the 14th child and the youngest. The money her family had was not very much. Even though the house was full of music, she had an accordion player dad. Her mom put together a performance group for the family. There was always music in that world. It was there all the time. There was nothing strange about Celine getting up on a stool and singing in the family piano bar. It seemed right. She did a show for real people when she was only 5 years old. Not a school or church hall, but a real group of people. She hit the stage early and never really got off of it. It was a surprise when she made her first big foreign break. She sang for Switzerland at Eurovision in Dublin when she was 19. She wasn't singing for Canada. She spoke French. Just 1 point separated her from the winner. Just one. Still, that small difference led to a chance that changed her whole life. Still, René Angelil was the only person who could have made it all happen. He was a music manager when Celine's brother sent him a tape of her singing when she was 12 years old. Most people in his shoes would have just listened nicely and moved on. René did the wrong thing. He had so much faith in her that he put up his house as collateral for her first record. Everything else was shaped by that choice. He was her manager at first. He became her true love over time. After that, he married her. They were married for 22 years. And his presence became a big part of how she felt in her songs. In January 2016, he died of throat cancer. That loss is important. It's quiet and lies behind a lot of what came after. But before we go there, let's take a look at how much she accomplished. Around the world, more than 200 million records have been bought. My Heart Will Go On became one of the most well-known songs ever recorded. She is the winner of 5 Grammys. Then there was Sin City. It wasn't just records that were broken at her stays. Their ideas about live music changed the way modern artists thought about it. Her first run, called A New Day, made more money than any other musical residency ever. Then she came back with a second run of music and reached an even higher level. Celine holds both the top and second spots in the history of Billboard's residency music records in terms of sales. That's not all she did well. People started to treat her power as something they didn't need because it was always there. That's why the music that came next was so shocking. She had lived with a body and voice that seemed impossible to stop for decades. As time went on, something slowly began to change deep inside her nervous system. At first, not even she seemed to notice. She kept the secret for 17 years. It's hard to believe this part of the story. In her documentary, Celine talked about how she had been having symptoms for about 17 years before she was finally diagnosed in 2022. 17 years. Fans saw her sing, smile, wave, and end shows every night while she was going through something she couldn't explain. The fact that it all began makes it even worse. It started in her throat. Any mistake can happen there, which is very scary for a singer. She said that the music made her voice shake. Her voice would get rough, and she would lose control. She spent her whole life getting good at playing the instrument, but all of a sudden it stopped responding the way she knew it should. She tried to explain it away at first. She might have been tired. It's possible that she worked too much. It might help to rest. It made sense at the time to believe those replies. After all, she had played music at a very high level for years. But slowly, another possibility was coming to the surface. It was much harder to face this possibility. If your voice is not only your job but also a big part of who you are, then losing it is like losing the map of your whole music life. The singer Celine once said that she followed her voice everywhere before she got sick. It helped her. It made her happy. Her best self took shape because of it. She didn't have an easy way to deal with it when that voice started to fail in scary and strange ways. She hid her fear because it was too strong. She wasn't trying to trick anyone, she was just trying to stay alive. It got harder to hide the signs after that. She pushed back the start date of her new Las Vegas residency at Resorts World Theater in October 2021. The official reason was serious muscle spasms that wouldn't go away. People heard the words and the music, but they still didn't know the whole story. It wasn't clear what was wrong or why it happened. It was another vague message about health problems. A few months later, in January 2022, she called off the rest of her Courage World Tour dates. Again, the answer was about muscle spasms and getting medical help. The public still didn't know what the real name of the condition was. Later, when she talked freely in the video, she said something very sad. She turned the mic toward the crowd sometimes on stage because she didn't trust her own voice to carry the note. Some people might have thought it was a nice thing to do, a way for her to share the song with her fans. Music was sometimes what it was, but it was also a way to hide the truth sometimes. In the end, she said that quiet was a lie she could no longer keep up. The whole world watched her act for almost 20 years. The real fight was going on the whole time, but no one could see it. The word that no one had heard. While being filmed in December 2022, Celine Dion told the world the truth. She was told she had stiff person syndrome. A lot of people had never heard those words before. She also said that she was canceling her Courage World Tour at the same time. She finally had a name for the condition that had been bothering her for years, and that name made people afraid in its own way. What does stiff person syndrome mean? To put it simply, it is a very uncommon autoimmune neurological disease that affects music. It makes muscles very stiff and painfully twitch. These spasms can happen at any time. They might go through the legs, arms, chest, and sometimes even the face. The body stops moving. It gets hard to move around. A crisis can be started by everyday sounds, a sudden touch, stress, or a strong emotion. Most people don't understand how important that last part is. This disease doesn't just get worse when you work out. It can also react to how you feel. The nervous system works too hard. People with this disease often don't have enough GABA in their brains, which is a chemical that helps calm nerve activity and control movement. Our bodies stay alert when that system that calms us down isn't working right. The brakes don't work. Music. Muscles fire when they shouldn't, because the body can't settle down properly. When it hears music, emotion can become a trigger. Now think about what that means for the singer Celine Dion. She sings. Her whole life has been about how she feels. There are lights, sounds, excitement, adrenaline, tension, and release at a live show. The crowd stands up. The music gets louder. It gets really electric. That drive is what most performers need. It can also be a threat to Celine. That's what makes this story so cruel. The illness did more than just hurt her body. It went after the exact music system that her art rests on. There is also no fix. The truth needs to stay out in the open. You can get help for stiff person syndrome. Therapy, medication, muscle relaxants, music, and careful control of triggers can sometimes help people deal with their symptoms. That being said, control does not mean gone. It's still sick. It might stay the same for a while. Things could get worse. Even the people who are treating it might be surprised. People say that Celine Dion is coming back, which sounds like a simple word. It's not really that easy though. What does it mean to have a comeback if the sickness never goes away? That question comes after everything else. Rock Bottom was caught on camera. I Am Celine Dion came out on Amazon Prime Video in June 2024. It quickly became one of the most talked about films in the world. People were hoping for an emotional movie. They got something much more natural. The director had full access because Celine let them in. There was no soft filter over how much pain she was in. The drugs were seen by the camera. It went to the therapy. It saw what a public life cost in private. People who saw the movie saw a scene that many of them would never forget by the end. That morning, Celine had been in a recording studio making songs for the movie Love Again. In the evening, she went to therapy. Terrell Lobo, her sports medicine trainer, worked on her while she lay on a massage table. After that, the cramps started. First her hands, then her feet, and finally her whole body got tense. Her shrink knew right away what was going on. He moved her, helped her stand up, and gave her the nasal spray. For a few minutes, the seizure went on. She stayed awake through it all because of the music. The director said it was one of the worst times of her life later on. She meant to help. She wanted the camera to go away, but Celine had already decided what to do. Carry on filming. Choose later. When it was time to put the video together, there was music. She saw that terrible scene and then made a different choice. They were told to keep it inside. What she chose to do shows a lot about who she is. She didn't show everyone her worst moment to shock them. Why did she do it? Because she wanted people to know what this sickness really looks like. She wanted people who lived with rare diseases, constant fear and pain that couldn't be seen to feel seen. Then there is one of the most shocking parts of the movie. After the seizure is over, Celine gets up. She has been in a lot of pain, feels powerless, and is filled with fear. She leaves, and then she ends up being the one calming the director. That picture says everything about her life. When she's about to fall apart, something inside her still reaches out. This was the biggest risk of her career. Now it was time for the opening event of the Olympics in Paris on July 26, 2024. There had been reports for weeks about a surprise performer at the end. Organizers didn't say anything. Her team didn't say anything. No one was willing to confirm anything. The Seine was in the middle of the show and people from all over the world watched. It then turned its attention to the Eiffel Tower. She was there. In a white Dior dress, Celine Dion stood high above the city. It started to rain. The piano started playing. She then sang. My Love by Edith Piaf was the song. That choice was important. It wasn't a mishap. Pete wrote that song because he loved and lost a lot. It holds pain, longing, giving up, and devotion. It added something extra to the performance for Celine to sing those words at that time. She wasn't just coming back. The song she was using already knew what it was like to lose someone, and that's what made the show feel so strong. This woman had been hiding a terrible illness for many years, a woman whose husband had died. A woman who had just shown everyone her weakest and most painful side. She stood in the rain in front of millions of people and spoke anyway. When she was speaking on the show for NBC, Kelly Clarkson called her a vocal athlete. That explanation felt very right. Celine had to have a lot of self-control, courage, timing, discipline, and endurance to do what she did that night. From a distance, it may have looked graceful, but there was a huge risk behind that grace. Because this show wasn't safe or easy. Her own video had already shown that singing could cause a brain attack. A disaster could happen because of strong emotions. A crisis could be caused by physical stress. All of that came through in the Olympics performance. She was outside. It was wet. Everyone in the world saw it live. Backstage, there was no second chance. At that point, if her body had given out, everyone would have seen it. She sang the song from beginning to end instead. The crowd went crazy. One of the most important parts of the ceremony was the performance. In the fall of that year, she put the live recording on streaming services. A message of calm confidence to anyone who is still not sure. She was still here. She wasn't ready to fade away yet. The best present she's ever received on her birthday. There were signs before the official word came out. There were strange signs all over Paris in the weeks leading up to March 30, 2026. They didn't have her name or face on them. They had song titles on them. The message was clear to people who knew her songs. Then she made a sneaky online post in her own voice. It wasn't long. It was easy. It was enough to make people go crazy with music. Then the date came around. Her 58th birthday is March 30, 2026. Once more, the Eiffel Tower was behind her as she told the people what was going on. Celine Dion said she would be going back on stage for a residency in Paris. It was the best present she had ever received for her birthday. There was no doubt that the chance to perform again meant the most to her. The words she used made her point even more powerful. She didn't say that she was better. She didn't say that the sickness was gone. She said she was fine. She said she was strong. She said she felt a little nervous. She said she was thankful most of all. Those words were sincere. They also brought notice. She knows what her body is made of. She knows how much it costs to stand on stage. She knows what music gives back though. The large Paris La Défense Arena would be the place where the event would take place. It wasn't a quiet comeback. It said something important. A huge event, a huge room, and a huge moment. At first, 10 shows were planned from September 12, 2026 to October 14, 2026. Then the demand for tickets went through the roof in a way that surprised even the most experienced event organizers. So many people wanted to play the game that almost 9 million did. It seemed impossible that the number was that big. The public's answer came right away and was very strong. There are now 6 more shows. The sum went up to 16. Then more times were set for May 2027, which made the residency last for an extra year. That answer told its own tale. She wasn't forgotten. They weren't moving on. They still loved her and hadn't found someone else. They were ready. They picked up the phone as soon as she called. The question that no one wants to ask. Now comes the tough part. It would be simple to make this story a good one about being brave and making things right. A happy piece of music and cheers at the end would be easy to add. But the truth is more complex. And it's important to know the truth. Celine Dion is still stiff all the time. That is still the same. When she sang at the Olympics, she was still sick. It will be there when she goes on stage in Paris. The news, ticket sales, beautiful gowns, or public hope don't slow it down. It's still hard to predict. It is still a big deal. It's still a part of her life every day. Because of this, her planned stay is a very big risk. The show at the Olympics was just one song, a few minutes, one peak, and a well-planned event. A residency is not the same thing at all. It refers to full shows. It means a lot of sets. It means a lot of mental and physical stress over a lot of nights. It means rest, then more work, then more rest, then another show. It means having to deal with the same triggers over and over in a very short time. That's a huge difference. In her documentary, she already talked about what singing too much can do to her back. There are lights, noise, adrenaline, expectation, memory, emotion, and pressure on the stage. All of those things can make her illness worse by giving her too much excitement. It makes sense for people to be asking these quiet questions. Will her body last through all of these dates? What will happen if she has to cancel even one show? What should be done if there is an episode during a show that thousands of people are watching? Do not be mean with these questions. They're the honest ones. People who really care about her should be able to stand up to them. This is also why this story is tense even when it seems like things are going well. It's not a question of whether Celine Dion is important. She does matter, of course. People are worried about whether a woman with a long-term, incurable, and getting worse neurological illness can keep doing the hardest thing she has ever done. This is the only answer that is true. No one knows. Why does she have to do it? She is still moving toward the stage, even though she doesn't know what to do. It's easy to see why when you pay close attention to what she already said. This is the risk that Celine knows the most about. She understands how painful it is. She understands the fear. She is aware of how it feels when her body does not want to move. It got so bad for her that she said she had to take 80 to 90 milligrams of Valium every day just to walk, swallow, and do other things. She knows what it's like to try to sing but hear nothing when her voice should be there. In other words, there is no trick here. She's not paying attention. She has a choice. And her choice is based on a simple idea. She said she would walk if she couldn't run. She will crawl if she can't walk. It's not about speed. The important thing is that she plans to keep going. That spirit showed up again in one of her most pointed public responses. Before the opening of her documentary, a reporter wrote about her absence in a way that made it sound like she was losing something, getting worse, or the end. In just 2 words, Celine said, "I'm not dead." That line says a lot about who she is. It's straightforward. It's clear. No one else can write the ending while she is still living it. There is also something more important behind her choice to go back. She has 3 sons who watch her live her life at home. They've already been through death. Renee and Jalil were their father. He died in January 2016, just a few days before their oldest son turned 15. Celine has talked about how acting is very important to his memory. She still feels close to him on stage. In some way, the song takes him back to her. In other words, the stage is not just where she works. It's also where love, loss, memories, and who we are keep coming together. Her documentary did more than just show pain, it also did something else. It gave form to a sickness that a lot of people had never seen before. It brought public pain to light. That was important for people who lived with problems that couldn't be seen. Finally, they could point to a popular and powerful person and say, "That's how it feels." And maybe that's one of the most important truths here. Celine Dion might lose more if she quits music than if she keeps going. The illness won't go away even if she sings. It sticks in her body no matter what. She still gets something from the stage that she can't easily get elsewhere. It makes sense to her. It helps her bond. It helps her stay true to herself, even though music is always trying to take away parts of that self. That is the most important part of the story, so don't miss it. September is almost here. The date is coming up soon. The 12th of September 2026. La Défense Arena in Nanterre, which is not far from Paris. 45,000 places. A crowd that's full. This will be Celine Dion's first full show since March 2020. Think about that time. The lights go out. It gets quiet in the room. Not completely quiet, because an arena is never really quiet. But quiet in that unique way that crowds do when they know something special is about to happen. A woman in her 50s stands in the dark behind the stage and waits for her turn. She has a brain illness that can't be cured inside her. Her healthcare team is close by. One of her sons might be in the building. She may also remember Renee in a deeper way, in the same way that a loved one can still be with you after they've died. Now hold on to 2 options at the same time. There is a beautiful potential. This could be one of the best comebacks in the history of modern music. 16 nights of proof that being sick doesn't take away the voice that people love. 16 nights of anger, power, and defiance. People have been talking about this kind of return for years because it changes their ideas about what a person can go through and still make something. The other option is very scary. On stage, her body might give out on her. There might be a pain. Something bad could happen in public, in front of everyone. The place she loves the most could become the spot where her illness shows up. Both of these options are real. That's why this story is so important. It's important because Celine knows they're both real and is still going to speak out. That choice means something to millions of people who live with long-term illnesses. Not because it makes a phrase out of pain. Not because it makes the pain look pretty. It's important because it tells the truth. Someone can be scared and still go on. Someone can be weak and strong at the same time. There are times when someone can know the danger and still choose to live. That's where the story ends. It never really mattered if Celine Dion would be okay. That word doesn't describe what she's going through. The real question is whether she wants to take all the risks that come with living in the body she has. From what she's done, it looks like the answer is yes. September is coming up. Everyone is now waiting to hear what her voice will do.